France does picturesque villages rather well. Lavender fields, limestone facades, shutters painted in colors that have no English names, postcard stuff. But some villages never made it onto postcards. Scattered across the French interior are places where the mayor goes quiet when you ask the wrong question. Communes where the church records mention things the curé would rather not discuss. Hamlets, where something happened, something documented, something real, and the land itself seems to carry the memory. 15 villages, real histories, the darkness that tourism brochures leave out. 1. Montségur, Ariège. On the 16th of March, 1244, over 200 Cathar perfecti walked voluntarily into a bonfire at the foot of this mountain rather than renounce their faith. The castle above the village had held out for 10 months against the Crusader army sent by the French crown and the Catholic Church to exterminate the Cathar heresy. When it fell, no negotiation was offered. The field where the burning took place is called the Field of the Burned Le Prat dels Cremats. A simple stele marks it. The village below is quiet. The mountain above remembers everything. 2 Oradour-sur-Glane, Haute-Vienne. On the 10th of June, 1944, SS troops from the Das Reich Division entered this village and killed 643 civilians. The women and children were locked in the church, which was set on fire. The men were shot in barns. The village was then burned. The ruins have been preserved exactly as they were left. Roofless houses, burnt-out cars, the church with its melted bell. A new village was built nearby. Nobody was asked to live in the ruins. Nobody has. 3 Les Baux de Provence, Bouches-du-Rhône. The lords of Les Baux were among the most feared in medieval Provence, a dynasty that adopted the Star of Bethlehem as their emblem and conducted warfare with a creativity that contemporaries found genuinely disturbing. Prisoners taken in battle were given a choice: convert or jump from the castle walls. The castle walls are very high. The village below is now a tourist destination. The walls are the same walls. 4 Peripertus, Audi. One of the Cathar castles of the Corbières, a fortress so high on its ridge that clouds pass beneath it on certain mornings. After the fall of the Cathars, Peripertus was absorbed into the French royal defense system. The village at its base emptied slowly over centuries as the fortress lost strategic value. What remains is the ruin above and the silence below. Local shepherds describe an unease near the northern tower that they cannot articulate and have stopped trying to explain. 5. Buzancy, Ardennes. A village in the Ardennes that changed hands 4 times between 1914 and 1918. The church was shelled in 1914, rebuilt, shelled again in 1918. The cemetery beside it contains graves from 3 different armies. The soil in the surrounding fields still produces unexploded ordnance with regularity. Farmers call it the iron harvest. Every spring, the earth gives back something that should have stayed buried. 6. Aigues Mortes, Gard. In September 1418, during the conflict between the Armagnac and Burgundian factions of the French Civil War, Burgundian troops seized this walled town and massacred the Armagnac garrison. The bodies were thrown into a tower and covered with salt to prevent the smell from reaching the town. The tower became known as the Tower of the Constable. The salt preserved the bodies for months. The town is now a popular tourist destination. The tower still stands. 7 Dôme, Dordogne. A Bastide town above the Dordogne River where the Knights Templar were imprisoned after the order's suppression in 1307. The cave system beneath the town was used as a refuge during the 100 Years' War, sheltering over 1,000 people for extended periods. The Templar inscriptions carved into the walls of their prison remain legible. Crosses, prayers, symbols that scholars have been arguing about for 2 centuries. The prisoners who carved them were, in most cases, subsequently burned. 8. Thill, Meurthe-et-Moselle, a village that ceased to exist. In 1939, the French military evacuated Thill entirely to create a security zone around the iron ore operations deemed essential to the war effort. The residents were promised return. The war ended. The industry continued. The residents did not return. The church stands roofless. The houses are ruins. The streets are overgrown. On certain maps, Phil is still listed as a commune. The population column reads 0. 9 St. Bertrand de Comminges, Haute-Garonne. The Roman city of Lugdunum Convenarum stood here and was destroyed by the Franks in 585 AD with a thoroughness that contemporaries described as total. The cathedral built over the Roman ruins in the medieval period contains, in its cloister, columns taken directly from the Roman structures below. The destruction and the construction occupy the same stones. A guide who has worked here for 20 years describes the cloister at dusk as the most uncomfortable place she has ever stood, without being able to explain why. 10 Rocamadour, Lot. Built vertically into a cliff face above a gorge, Rocamadour has been a pilgrimage site since the 12th century. The body of a man was found in the rock near the chapel in 1166, uncorrupted, unidentified, carrying no explanation. He was declared a saint. The site became one of the most visited pilgrimage destinations in medieval Europe. Kings came here. Criminals came here seeking pardon. The Black Madonna in the chapel has been there since before the records began. Nobody knows who made her or when she arrived. 11 Couvertoirade, Aveyron. A Templar village on the Larzac Plateau, fortified and then abandoned over successive centuries as the plateau emptied. The walls are intact, the church is intact, the streets are intact. The population is approximately 130. Walking the fortified perimeter at dusk, with the causes stretching flat in every direction and the wind making conversation difficult, the question of why this place was built here so exposed, so deliberate, so complete, has no comfortable answer. 12 Vieux Moulin, Oise. A village in the Compiègne forest, used as a German military headquarters during the First World War. The forest itself was the site of sustained combat for 4 years. The trees that stand now are the second growth, the originals having been destroyed entirely. In the clearing, where the armistice was signed in 1918, and where Hitler brought the French to sign their own armistice in 1,940 inches deliberate reversal, the ground is level and unremarkable. History happened here twice, in opposite directions, to opposite people. 13 Minerve, Herod. In 1210, after a siege of 6 weeks, the Cathar stronghold of Minerve fell to Simon de Montfort's Crusader army. 140 Cathar perfecti, who refused to convert, were burned alive. The village is built on a natural rock peninsula, between 2 river gorges, the same peninsula where the burning took place. The gorges are beautiful. The rock is the same rock. A single monument in the village records the names. Most visitors photograph the gorges and do not find the monument. 14 Loches, Indre et Loire. The keep at Loches was used as a royal prison from the 15th century onward. Ludovico Sforza, Duke of Milan, was imprisoned here for 8 years and spent the time painting the walls of his cell with scenes from his former life, his court, his city, his possessions. The paintings remain. He died here in 1508, within days of being allowed into the courtyard for the first time in years. The cell with his paintings is open to visitors. The paintings are extraordinarily detailed. The detail is what makes them unbearable. 15. Aubrec, Aveyron. A plateau village at 1,300 meters that was, in the medieval period, the site of a Hospitaller monastery providing refuge to Santiago pilgrims crossing the exposed high ground. The plateau in winter is one of the most hostile environments in mainland France. Blizzards arrive without warning. The wind removes orientation, and the distance between shelter and death narrows to minutes. The monastery records document the pilgrims who arrived. They do not document those who did not. The plateau in August is golden and wide and beautiful. The plateau in January is something else entirely, and the stones of the old monastery know the difference. 15 villages, Cathar pyres and Templar inscriptions, massacres documented in commune registers, a village preserved in ruins because nobody could think of what else to do with it, a cell painted by a man who knew he would never leave it. France's landscape holds all of this, alongside the lavender and the wine and the Sunday markets, where nothing appears to have changed since 1880. The darkness is not separate from the beauty. In most cases, it is older. These places exist, whether you visit them or not. Understanding them is part of understanding where you are when you stand in the French interior and feel, without being able to explain it, that the ground beneath you has a memory. The land remembers what the brochures leave out.